What's up, everybody? How's it going? So I decided to make a real quick contest entry video. Johnny has reached 500 subscribers. The name of his channel is Rock and Metal Plus. Been watching Johnny for a little while. I think Metal Marty Mac is the one that mentioned him, and I checked out his channel. I want to say it was probably about a year ago, if I remember right. And Johnny has, of course, reached 500 subscribers. This is a contest entry video to that. He's well at 547 whenever I watched his video. But anyway, he shows a lot of thrash metal, death metal, all kinds of different styles. So I think he's about my age. It seems like he shows a lot of stuff I listen to as well. And I think a lot of us that's in this age range is going back to those days, because they bring out great memories. His contest is show 5 albums that got you into metal, and from what I gather of the videos I've watched, it's by genre. So I'll just say, and I think that's what his was too, pretty much. What got him into goth, I remember it was the Sisters of Mercy album he showed. So I'm gonna stay with that. In the background, we're going to be listening to this. Die Zopser. The album's called Through Weird Woods, black metal from Germany, released in 2000. That reminds me a lot of Emperor. Even the color scheme kind of has that Anthems look. Blind Buy, I picked this up for 99 cents just because it had a castle on it. I knew it was probably going to be metal. Playing in the background. Been in a black metal mood for the last couple of days, and I'll probably have a collection update with black metal in it. But anyway, let's go back to the contest. So Johnny wanted the 5 albums, of course, and 5 shout outs. So I'll get to the shout outs after I show these albums. I've shown these albums many times, so I'll just get through them. So when I got into metal, there were several albums that I was listening to, but if I had to isolate it to one that just grabbed me, was Iron Maiden Killers. I've showed this in every contest entry video. Obviously, it's my favorite album of all time. It's the album that got me into playing bass guitars, this one right here. I remember when I first heard it, IDs of March started on, and I was hooked from that moment. Favorite tracks on this is Murderers in the Rue Morgue, Wrathchild, you name it. Every song is a banger. And what was weird is this album still sounds mystical. And I think for me, when bands lose their mysticism is when all you see is their them talking or something like that. They share something. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. This band never lost that for me. They still have that mysticism. This album still has that mystical value. One of the greatest albums of all time. The drums on this are amazing. Clive did some awesome drumming on it. I love Adrian Smith and Dave Murray's guitar work. And of course, my favorite vocalist for Iron Maiden is the original vocalist, Paul. I love his vocal style. I do love Bruce Dickinson's vocals, don't get me wrong, but this is my favorite lineup of Iron Maiden and favorite album of all time. Next one up, I would say let's do a thrash one before I get into the other one. Very first thrash metal album I ever heard was Metallica's Ride the Lightning. Still my favorite one. Still my favorite Metallica album, and I think it's a close tie with Kill 'Em All. Those two albums to me are perfection. A little bit about this album. When I first heard it was on a cassette. It was a dub cassette my buddy made, and it had Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith on one side, and I had Ride the Lightning on the other side. So back in the day, I was listening to Judas Priest quite a bit. I was into Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Motley Crue, that whole gamut. And thrash metal was a little bit new to me. And I think one day I was, to be honest with you, I was stoned out of my mind. I'll just say that quietly. And I was listening to that Judas Priest album, and I didn't feel like waiting for it to rewind because I want to listen to it again. Does that make sense? So I just flipped the damn tape over. This album came on, and to be honest with you, I listened to a little bit of it before that, but that night, for some reason, that opening classical acoustic intro to Fight Fire with Fire came on, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. And then the song, first, initially, I was like, God damn, all they do is fucking scream. Then the guitar solo started coming in and the progression, and that's what really first hooked me. And then the background noises, if you listen to this album, you could hear certain words spoken or something that's in the background that you could hear it when you're sober, but for some reason they really stand out when you've smoked a little weed. So that's where it is. This album right here is my favorite, and still to this day I go to. Favorite tracks on this is Fight Fire with Fire. Every track. I would say Trapped Under Ice is my absolute favorite song on this, but that's what got me in thrash metal. Metallica's Ride the Lightning. And then next up, I was really into those two bass guitarists, Cliff Burton and Steve Harris, and I noticed Cliff Burton was wearing a Misfits t-shirt, so that's what got me into punk. And then this was the very first Misfits album I ever bought, Legacy of Brutality, which is a compilation. It's basically Static Age is what it is. And at first when I heard it, I was like, it sounded really old. I could say that. Back then I thought it was old. I didn't understand production. I was hearing the production off of Iron Maiden and Ride the Lightning, so when I heard this production I thought it was really thin. So it took a couple lessons to get into this album. And then I think somebody said, check out Chaos AD, or not Chaos AD, Earth AD, which is my favorite Misfits album. But this is the first one I heard, and it got me into wanting to know more about this band. I love the artwork. I always have loved the artwork to this. The Elvis. My favorite tracks on this is Where Eagles Dare. They ain't no goddamn son of a bitch. You better think about it, baby. I love that. Those lyrics. Halloween Sheet, American Nightmare. I like the Elvis kind of style he does in that. TV Casualties, Hybrid Moments, Angel Fuck. There's so many good songs on this album. But the first one I heard, still, I guess my first punk album. First black metal album. Now, I'm at an age and I'm from the sticks, so you have to understand where I'm coming from, and I think most people will. The very first black metal album I ever heard was actually this one. Melissa by Merciful Fate. First wave black metal is what I was into. I didn't get into second wave till a little bit later. This one still had the guitar solos and the pretty good production, I'd say, and what black metal was to us, I've said this a million times, around this area was anything with satanic content, and obviously this one's an evil freaking album. I remember when I first heard this, I thought it was just as heavy as Metallica's Ride the Lightning, and this, I think this came out about the same time, maybe, yeah, about the same time. But that first song, Evil, I freaking love it. Curse of the Pharaohs, Into the Coven, those 3 tracks are perfection. Black Funeral, Satan's Fall. I even like Melissa, the ballad. Just one of those albums. This is what got me into that darker lyrical theme. Because face it, those albums are really not on the, I guess, the extreme lyrics as this one is. It's an awesome album. Merciful Fate, Melissa. My first black metal album, and everybody knows this. I've heard, okay, so death metal, I heard Death, of course, Scream Bloody Gore, Leprosy. I heard Obituary, Slowly Rerot back in the day, Cannibal Corpse, but I didn't really get into death metal until this album. I've talked about it before. And this, to me, is pure death metal. And that's Morbid Angel's Blessed Art of Sick. It's still, it's not my favorite Morbid Angel album. It definitely isn't. But it's still like in my top 3. Definitely. My favorite one would probably be the first one, Altars of Madness. Right now, anyway. This one kind of switches back and forth with that, and Covenant and Domination. Those 4 albums right there is the 4. And I like the Steve Tucker era, but the David Vincent era is fucking, of course, it's legendary. But anyway, this album, when I first heard it, my buddy picked me up for band practice, and I think it was Doomsday Celebration, said this before, it was on, and I was like, what the fuck are you listening to? And all of a sudden, and those kick drums come in, I was like, holy fuck. And we listened to that song, that track, over and over again. Had him dub it on cassette for me, and then I couldn't handle it, so I just went to the store. The cassette, the dub cassette was kind of not the greatest sound, so I just went to I think it was Camelot, and I bought this on cassette. But yeah, this album holds a lot of memories. I listened to this album for days and days after I got the cassette, and I wanted more death metal after that. I wanted to hear more death metal, and so I started picking up other stuff, Immolation, Suffocation. I remember picking that up. Anything that looked death metal I was getting, and that's all I listened to for probably 2 years, I would say, straight. Was just nothing but death metal. So anyway, this is what got me right here. Anyway, I hope you guys like this part of it. So here's the shout out. So first shout out, I have them written down, it's No Solution. Great channel. You need to go over there and subscribe. He shows a lot of blind buys. I love those blind buy blasphemies. Excuse me, I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, I think he's probably my age. We listen to a lot of the same stuff. Devin Townsend, I see in the background, some Dream Theater. But of course he listens to the death metal and the black metal as well. So go to his channel, check him out. Next one up is Merciful Metal, which is Thomas. Right now we're currently in a race to 1,000. Please go to his channel. He needs to catch up with me because I was hoping that we'd tie. But Thomas shows a lot of old school speed metal and thrash metal albums, and he does show some death metal. His last video he showed Coffee Cup Trifold. Last video he showed some like 80s stuff from Japan. I checked that out. That was pretty cool, Thomas. So keep making those videos because I like that stuff. It's a breakaway from all this stuff that we keep on showing over and over again, basically. Because I know I've showed those albums at least 7 times throughout my videos. But anyway, check out Thomas at Merciful Metal. Next one up is Roger Korvik from Norway, and I love his channel. He has one of the best collections I've ever seen. He has stuff I wish I had. And he's into the whole range. I mean, me, I'm more of the old school guy. I do have some new stuff, but he's got the old school stuff and the new stuff coming out, and that's very informative because it keeps it interesting when you have a mix of seeing stuff from your youth and then seeing what's new and what guys your age are really digging. That kind of takes you back to the old school, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. But Roger Korvik, of course, all these I'll post link in the description below. Metal Miners is the next one. Now, Anthony, I've watched him more than his son, but his son's more into the black metal, which is cool. And Anthony, of course, is into the new school death metal stuff. He shows some old school stuff, but predominantly it's all the newer bands, the underground bands that remind me of the tape trading days. And that's what his channel kind of reminds me of, is he points out these bands, go check this out. And there's so many out there, you can't keep up with them all. And every time I watch this video, I'm like, man, I don't know any of these, but I'll go check them out. But that's what I love about his channel. It's very informative, keeps you up to date on what's new out there. So definitely check out Metal Miners channel, they're awesome. And last one up here, the last and fifth, is the first video I saw for this contest, which is Death Metal 1976. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I think he's about my age. I'm assuming 1976 is the year he was born. That's about the area I was born, so you're my age. And you show a lot of stuff that I listen to, the Slayer, Entombed, all that awesome stuff. You even showed a Guns N' Roses album, which I thought was pretty cool. I remember getting a Guns N' Roses album and listening to the shit out of it just because it had cuss words in it. It's the very first album I had in my collection with cuss words. But anyway, his channel is awesome. He needs more subscribers, so definitely check him out. Awesome fella. I love watching his videos. He's got a unique charisma and just seems like an all-around swell guy, awesome guy. Man, I wish all of us could get all in one gathering and hang out. That would be fucking awesome. But watching the VC channels, that's the next best thing until one day we all have the money to do that. I don't ever see that happening. But it'll be cool for all of us to hang out. But anyway, that's this video. That's my contest entry. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's 20 freaking minutes long because I talk too much. But y'all have a great freaking day. Check this band out if you don't know it. Die Zalter. And disclaimer, if I made any mistakes, point them out in the comments below. It helps this video get out. Y'all have a good one later.